Hi, I'm Lisa, a liminal witch and tarot reader for 28 years.
And I'm Neil, a chaos magician.
And this is Beyond Authentic Witchcraft, the meandering magical podcast.
And today, Lisa is going to introduce me to the wonderful world of WitchTok.
Wonderful's right. But I guess before we get into the TikToks, Neil, we should really talk about the elephant in the room. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice a couple of things. One, you can actually see Neil's face today, which is both a curse and a blessing. I know. I've had to know him for 25 years. No, I'm joking. But also, I look incredibly pale. So my computer settings have all, we had a power cut just as we started filming. And so my settings are all over the place. But suddenly, Neil, you look as if like we can actually see you. So what's going on? Have you cast a spell on your computer?
Well, a very generous person bought me a very nice Christmas present. So then she wouldn't have to keep editing me out of the dark for a podcast.
That is true, actually. That is very true. But I'm just looking here. You see, now we can see all your books. We can see all of your books and everything. So
my books.
Yeah, quickly, somebody pause this and work out what books Neil likes and what his subjects are.
All the dodgier ones are down the other end, out of shot. You know,
we did actually have the discussion of what the range of the camera is going to be, so that all of the really odd books are just further down. So this is the slightly curated version of Neil's bookshelf, even though it is bonkers the amount of books and stuff that you've got. So then again, the other elephant in the room, we didn't do a podcast last month. Various reasons for that, lots of health reasons, general sort of stuff, life got in the way. And so we didn't want to do one where we're both like half-assed and like, oh, can't be bothered to talk. So instead of doing that, we just thought we'll skip it, which we've done. So then, because it is February, did you do lots of love magic? Did you cast spells on people to fall in love with one another? Did you do, you know, all the things that the YouTube and TikTok tells us we're supposed to do in February?
Not at all.
You didn't even get an anatomical heart and like from one of your vanquished enemies, and you tore it out of his chest.
Not this year, no. No.
No, I know. I must say February was a quiet month for or so far it's been a quiet month for magical workings. I did, however, do these little my anti-fae spell bottles because we've been having all sorts of issues with the fae. Even today, as I say, as we started filming, with the power just randomly going off and there's nothing major plugged in. So, you know, so I've got a little spell bottle with lots of herbs, my own herbal blend. That sounds like I'm selling Mary Jane in America, doesn't it? But I've got my own like protection herbs, some obsidian and some hematite in there as well. And then I've got these are old, like pre-1960 floorboard nails that obviously, you see, this is it. You see, if you're a witch on the internet, now I'm slowly getting Neil to realize that internet witchcraft is a positive thing, because you can order things like this and it'll be some reclaimer's yard somewhere that have torn a house down, and then they would have just thrown out and got rid of all the nails and that, and they would have gone into, you know, landfill, and now the wood all goes off to get burnt or reused, and the nails get sold to people like me at extravagant markups. So that's phenomenal. I've also got a hagstone on there because, again, the fae are supposed to not like hagstones, and all sorts of bits and pieces. So yeah, that is what I have been largely working on in February, is working out what I was doing with that. And I still need to hang that one up in this window, but I've got one at every window, and every door to this flat is now covered with one of those. So if there's any fae left in the flat, they're now permanent residents because they can't get out. But you know, that hence the power cut. But yeah, so what about you? Did you do anything in January, February time for general magical practicey things?
You know, I haven't really, but since going to the bookshop, which I think was the last episode, wasn't it? I've been getting through a lot of books. So I kind of have started off the year quite studious, really. Is just
that's
hitting
good.
the books. Hitting the books.
That's good.
Not really, but not doing anything practical. But yeah.
No, well, I did pay a trip down to, I ended up going to London myself last month, and I did go down to Treadwell's, which you told me about. And I was so excited to go down and look at the tarot selection, and there was like 4 decks. So I ended up coming away with just a couple of magazines, and that was it. I did get a lovely couple of pictures of Pamela Coleman Smith's fireplace, which was really weird. It was like, for me, it was a little bit like going like a pilgrimage. And it was, I literally sit, and I was like, can I see Pamela Coleman Smith's fireplace, please? See the fireplace. And the person serving in the till was like, oh yeah, absolutely fine. No, go downstairs. It's right there. And I was like, okay. And I literally felt like it was a pilgrimage. It was like I was off to Mecca.
Was that so? That was downstairs?
Yeah. They've got coven meetings down there, and they rent the space out to other organizations and things. So yeah, it was literally downstairs. I've got to say, it looked like a really nice stone, and it just looked like a fireplace. I don't know what I was expecting.
It's a fireplace.
I mean, considering... Yeah, exactly. And considering, you know, she died in poverty, she was never fully recognized in her lifetime, even though she'd done these 78 paintings that got turned into the tarot cards. I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was expecting bits of paint to still be on there, and like, you know, burnt bits of dried blood and all this stuff from when she, but of course she was just an artist. And by the time she passed, like, it was a long time since she'd done that artwork. It was just something she did for a job. If anyone's in London or goes to London, Treadwell's bookshop, and then ask to be let downstairs to Pamela Coleman Smith's fireplace. But yeah, I recommend you do that. Anyway, we've gone from something very old now and important,
trying to put it off,
to now talking about the modern. So regular viewers and listeners will know that every time I've ever mentioned WitchTok, Neil has this look that passes across his face. It's the sort of look of somebody who has just realized that life is finite, that demons and ghosts and spirits are actually real, who suddenly realize that their own mortality is coming upon them. There is all of that goes on in a split momentary second as Neil goes, Lisa, will you please shut up about the bloody WitchTok? I don't want to know. So I finally persuaded Neil to sit down, and I'm going to show him some WitchToks. Now, before I get going, I think there's got to be a caveat, really, because WitchTok itself is like any other community space. Okay, so some of them are really, really good. There's some really good information that's condensed into a minute or 3 minutes, but normally into a minute. There's some really good practitioners out there that I genuinely like the way they put that information into a concise format. And then there's others that maybe I don't like as much, and maybe, well, you'll see as we go through these. Because again, luckily for me, my wonderful computer is just showing me them as an image. It's not showing me them the picture or a still from the WitchTok. So I now have no idea which one is which. So we're just going to go through them. So this is from a TikToker called WitchTok Boy. So they put their gender in there, although the amount of tattoos that this person has, like, boy might be a little bit of a stretch. And this TikTok is called Unchained Spirit. Okay, so hopefully you can hear it okay. And yeah, let's see what your reaction to this one is.
Don't ever try this. By using this powerful stone, you can unlock a state that will grant you your deepest wishes. This spiritum stone has the power to unchain the human spirit. This powerful stone should only be used for good, and even then, it's only for those who are ready. It can unlock your powerful abilities to make anybody love you, be infinitely rich, or as famous as you want. I only have a limited amount of these powerful stones, and the first few can get them there. Are you brave enough to try this and heart this video and follow my account?
Only 6 payments of $99.99.
That's right. You too could be a witch. And don't forget that one stone unlocks all of those things and brings you untold wealth.
Wow.
So this is kind of commercial witch talk, right? And so yeah, so what do you think? Have you you're an incredibly experienced practitioner, same as I am. We've been doing this for a long time. Do you have one of those stones on a necklace that is going to unlock your thing, and you've got to be super careful with it, because even using it for good can be dangerous?
Whoa. I mean, he didn't look very witchy, did he?
Not really.
He just looked like a kind of regular gym bro, some tattoos. Yeah, you know, it looks like you'd go for a pint with him. You wouldn't expect him to have this like rainbowy crystal necklace going
What
on.
I find very interesting is it looks like that photo there. It looks dyed. It looks like, again, I didn't catch what stone he said it was, but it looks like an agate that has been dyed, because that used to be a thing. Or almost, with the blue and the green, it's almost like fluorite, but it's so bright on the screen. I think that is enhanced. But when you see it on his necklace, that is not a stone I think I have ever seen anywhere as a natural formed crystal. So
you got to make it special, though, you know?
Oh yeah, it makes it very special. A bit of colored glass. I mean, it's amazing. Again, listen, WitchTok boy, if you're watching this, honestly, if it does all of that, send me one and we'll put it to the test on a podcast. Me and Neil will put it through its paces. So yeah, there's that one. So what do you think so far? Are you convinced to try?
Oh God. What am I in for?
Has this changed your mind?
Have you got a
yet?
sponsorship with him? Is that why you've shown it? No,
absolutely not. Could you imagine? But if I had one of those crystals, maybe I could get a sponsorship, because it will unlock the power of wealth.
Yeah.
Basic witch bitch shit. We're gonna take apart and clean some spell jars, okay? These are all very fucking old. First, grab the corks, get them out of there. We're gonna do like a wine bottle cork situation when it has wax. Rip that bitch out. Now take off all the extras, like the fucking string. I don't even know how I tied that on there, but it was on there fucking good. And these, I'm just gonna throw in the trash. You wanna keep them? That's totally cool. I don't wanna keep it. Now take out all the insides. Make sure you're telling the spell jars that its service is no longer required, and put it in your box of retired herbs. If you don't have a box of retired herbs, put them somewhere else in the trash, I guess. I don't know. Now you're left with these bottles that are really dirty and gross. Pour some hot water. It's gonna melt the candle wax. Wipe them off. If there's still candle wax in the middle, put some salt in there. Make sure it's coarse salt. Add some water and then shake it really hard. Should get everything out. Sometimes they come out really clean. Sometimes they don't. You choose whether you want to reuse them.
I've got to say, this is Moon Street Kits, and I love her style. I absolutely love their style, because it's very much like, it's very down to earth, and she swears a hell of a lot, you know, just like I do. But also, like, that's proper. I love that video, because it says, when your spell bottle is done, what do you do with it? And I've seen so many people say, oh, you've got to throw it out, bury it, do all this stuff. Don't do any of that. Don't bury a glass bottle into the earth, because it's glass and you don't know who's going to dig that up in 5 weeks, 5 years, 5 months, whatever time. Like, just don't. If it's done, do what she did there. Get rid of the ingredients. So burn it on a bonfire. Have that sort of ceremony where you give thanks to it. Thank you for doing your work. I'm now going to bonfire it. Use it as incense. She goes on to talk about in another one that a lot of her spell bottles will have crystals and crystal chips in and things like that. And she says she doesn't like individually pick them out. She'll let them go into compost and let them go into a bonfire as incense, and let the crystals do whatever the crystals do. And I'm like, well, yeah, because they came from the earth. I think there's a lot of videos that I've seen where people are like overly precious about what happens with the spell ingredients afterwards. And if you are somebody who practices in a kind of conscious way, then like I try and use biodegradable stuff in the spell kits. You know what I mean? I try and think about that as I'm doing things. I do a lot of things with paper. I do a lot of things with herbs. I've got a full, you know, apothecary behind me. I'm quite happy doing that. I don't have to make something that's going to pollute the earth for a long time. And her energy is kind of similar. But what did you think?
I think the thing is with TikTok, I mean, I haven't seen too much TikTok in my life.
You're about to.
And yep. And it's kind of like, it's so fast. It's really, really fast. Like, it's a lot to take in. Like, it took me a while to even understand what she was doing. Like, all I could just see with jars. And I was just, at the end of it, just kind of went, and I said, my eyes started twitching, like it's a lot. But, like, I mean, you've explained it now. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of a bit baffled by this huge tray of herbs that she had going on. What she was doing with that.
She calls it her retirement tray, which I think is a wonderful way of thinking about it, that, you know, these herbs are retired. But she does talk about later on in another video, she was talking about actually burning them. When she's got enough, she'll have like a bonfire and she'll send them off, and it's like incense, and that's how she passes them off. But then you've got the argument of, well, that's burning and causing smoke pollution, air pollution, blah 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 blah. The thing I took from those, because there's about 4 videos where she talks about it, and the thing I took from all of it is, as long as it is biodegradable, because she talks about paper and how, like, don't put anything that's plastic or don't put anything that's, you know, wood into the ocean. But if it's paper, it will rot down really, really fast. It's biodegradable. And she talks about things like that. So after seeing a lot of WitchTok, which doesn't talk about what to do after you've created 17 spell jars for that day, because spell jars are really popular on TikTok. She says, having just promoted her own bloody one that she did earlier.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, I do like her kind of attitude. You know, there's a lot of swears in there, but she's kind of doing it in a very, like, she's kind of coming at it from a practical point, like how she's saying, well, you can just recycle these glass jars, not being very precious about them, you know. So
yeah, and I love that. I love that. Why create more waste? Why create more? You know, you've got a spell jar. It was once a love spell jar. Now it's going to be a cursing jar. You're not going to be cursing the people that you sent a love spell to. You know what I mean? Not that I would say for anybody to do that. But right, let's go on with another one. So this one, Neil, this is again our friend WitchBoyTok. Doesn't seem to be wearing that same super powerful crystal in this video. If you notice, it just seems to be a gold chain rather than super powerful, manifest the world and the universe is yours. However, he's about to tell us about firebending. Now, I've got to say, I wasn't taught firebending. It wasn't part of my tradition as I came through the craft. What about you from the chaos side? Did they teach you how to firebend?
I obviously didn't get to that level to know about firebending.
And it makes me think, is it like a piece of paper where you can do fire origami? Like, it sounds amazing. So let's the two of us, let's sit very open-minded, obviously, very kindly, with an open heart and an open mind. We are going to watch Mr. WitchTok Boy educate us about firebending.
Be extremely careful. You can unlock your very own firebending abilities. To do this, you'll need to draw this modified fire symbol on your palm. Then quickly rub your hands together, creating friction and heat. As soon as you feel the warmth, say Ignis element, come to light. If done correctly, you will now have an extremely powerful firebending ability. However, if any part was done wrong, it could be extremely dangerous. Are you brave enough to try this and save this video and follow my account?
What's he getting out of that? Because come on.
I can't even keep a straight face. So you are like into chaos, right? And sigils and these powerful symbols and these powerful have you, with all your knowledge, having gone through the learning stage for the actual, you know, chaos people, and then all of your subsequent individual learning, which is a lifelong learning for you, I know, have you ever come across this wonderful magical sigil right here in any of your books? Is this something you've used? Have you then been able to, I mean, or did you set your hair on fire? Like, have you come across this ancient knowledge?
No. Look, let's you know, here we go. Right, so it's like that. Yeah, like that. Yeah. So, you know, you do that. You do that. But you've got to say the words, though.
Yeah, hang on. Let me find you the words. There you go.
Ignis element, come to light.
Hang on. I'm looking at your hair. I'm looking at your hair. No, no, your head's not on fire. Oh, Neil, what happened to all your hair? You had a full head of hair. It's all burnt off. Wow, magic. So yeah, I don't get it. I've got no idea what this is.
No. Do you think it's almost like he's trying to get the kids to do it, and they all do it and film it, and then that spreads the word about him so he can sell his necklace? Perhaps.
Possibly, but again, it's just this. Be careful, because if you don't do it, I mean, I would say the words Ignis element come to life sound very Potter-esque. Yeah. And then the cartoon of him, or the cartoon of somebody screaming with fire in their hair. Yeah, I question who his audience is intended to be. Particularly if they are the same audience that he's trying to make buy an overpriced coloured crystal. So yeah. So thoughts on this one? What do you think? Genuine, false?
I really don't know. I think just trying to get that coin somehow. Strange methods are afoot.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is kind of the you know, energy building that you can do.
Yeah.
You kind of do that and, you know, form energy, but nothing so visual as fire. So yeah, it's puzzling more than anything.
And do you remember what we had when we were in the shop back 25 years ago, and people would come in and say, do you have anything that I can make fire in the palm of my hands, and would sell them a lighter? It'd be like, yes, this is a Zippo. Here, look, fire in the palm of my hand. Look, oh, fire. So yeah,
you don't need to put this symbol on and do all that. You can just get your Zippo out, your lighter, you know.
But the thing is,
I don't
Neil,
see the point.
You do realize now you've bought into his power because you've put the symbol on your hand, and so now he has power and dominance over you, or something.
No, now he's inspired me how I can make this an actual magical thing, because that's how my mind works.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, this will be it. Come 3 months down the line, you'll be going, right, I found the Ignis element come to life thing, and it works.
Yes, if applied to this thing. And yeah,
but be very mindful, Neil, that you are surrounded by books behind you. So maybe have a fire extinguisher on standby just in case. You don't want to be there with only like your fangs on show with your hair on fire, do you? No, definitely don't want that to happen. Right then, let's have a look at another one. I'm loving this. So this next one, Neil, I know it looks like we have Amy Winehouse resurrected, but this account is from, I believe it's called Kyle Dos Santos. I might not be right. If you are at home watching this on the YouTubes, please let me know if I've got that wrong, because I cannot quite see the name on there. But this is one that I've seen many versions of, with different people doing this.
If you are a witch, prove it.
Girls, watch out for those weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.
So she's a very powerful witch. So how do you explain that then, Neil?
I don't know. She's put something on the wick or something there, maybe, to make it do that. She's got a lot of magic going on in her face. I think a lot.
Has she?
Yeah, I think she's got a beautifying filter on there.
It does seem to be. Yes, I get what you mean now. It does seem to be a filter. Also, I question whether she's actually got eyelashes on, false eyelashes, or whether they
No,
are part of the filter.
I think they're part of the filter. So she is kind of quite magical in a way. Modern witchcraft.
Again,
modern glamour.
It's like a glamour. It's exactly a modern glamour. But this moment here, where the candle does this and then burns out, is quite simple to do. If you notice, it's a thicker candle. But also, if you notice right at the beginning, it's already been burnt. So this is not a new candle, and this is where the how it's done works. So apparently what you do is you get your large chunky candle. Have I got one? Oh no, these are all, here we go. So I'm not going to do it with this one because it's a gold one, but you get your large chunky candle, you burn it upside down so that as the flame burns, it burns a little divot, a little dent here, and then you put water on it.
Okay.
And basically what it does is it burns for a couple of seconds, and then as you can see, when so it's burning normally. When it hits the water, that's the oxygen going. Hang on, no, there's a bit before that. The spark, that spark is when it hits the water and reacts, and then because of the water, the wick is then wet, and that's when it burns out.
Oh.
So sorry, I did trick you a little bit. That is not genuinely her magical powers putting the candle out.
Yeah, but you know, it's quite cool though. I appreciated it.
It's a cool effect.
Appreciated, you know, the little craft clip and the banging tune, and
I would have loved it. I would have loved it if it was somehow reversed. So she was staring at it like this, right? And then she stares and it self-ignites. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
and then I would have gone, wow, like practical magic. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. But I suppose this is kind of like lending to the idea that if you've got kind of baby witches going on WitchTok and going, oh, that's possible, is it? You know,
yeah.
I mean, you know, it's kind of fun, but you know, it's adding to that probably.
So I've got to say for this first one, there isn't a need for a trigger warning. Okay, it looks like the way the video starts, I was immediately like, oh, do I need to put a trigger warning on this? But there's not. Okay, so it just starts with somebody's hand saying, I never get revenge. Okay, so let's see what you think of this one.
Okay. I mean, it needs more detail to it, doesn't it?
I mean, this is Manifest Bestie's video. It's weird. Okay, well, what do you think of it? What do you think of it?
Yeah, it was just a bit like, and then it's kind of like, well, you're supposed to wash it off. Are you supposed to walk around with it on for a day? Like, needs a bit more explanation. I mean, it's kind of like you know, something that you do probably when you're in class. You know, you sit and doodle on your arm like that. Think about someone you don't like in your class.
So I've got to say, again, I don't know a lot about runes, but I do know that the arrowhead is, I don't know whether it's Arwaz or one of the other ones, but I can't remember names. You know what I'm like now. But that is a rune for victory, and the cross with a line through it is another rune. So there's obviously a bind rune element going on here. I like the idea that she's saying to think about the person while you draw it, and then blow on the rune to activate it. So there's a little bit of sigil element in there. But it's kind of, I give them back all the harm they did to me multiplied by 3. I've got ethical issues around that. I also
type thing going on there.
Very Wiccan
with the runes, and
I've also seen on WitchTok. I've also seen people talking about the rule of 10, the rule of 7.
Oh God, leveled up.
Yep, exactly. So, like in my experience, the rule of 3 is bullshit. Right, in my experience, and it's something that I think is passed down still from people because they don't want newbies, they don't want baby witches to just start hexing and cursing. They want it to be like, oh, be careful what you do. And I do think it's a little bit of gatekeeping. What about you?
I mean, I've always thought the rule of 3 is bullshit. It's kind of another way of, it's almost like Christianity guilt, like redressed in a kind of like guilt way. So for me, it's not something I think, well, I don't believe in it personally. So, but I understand what you're saying though about it's almost like a bit of a, to put it in there as a bit of gatekeepingness these days, especially if they whacked it up to ×7, ×10. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just there these days to put people off, I guess, doing darker magic, you know. But yeah, it's a very strange video, that one, I think.
Not a baby witch. You're not. You are a novice. You are an aspiring practitioner. You are a beginner witch. You are not a baby witch, okay? And I feel like the whole concept of baby witch, not only is it screaming like, please hold my hand, please help me, but it's also like, you're also like degrading yourself. Like, you're not a baby. Like, no, you're an aspiring practitioner. You are a novice. You are a beginner. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not a baby. Like, I don't understand where that concept or term came from, but it really cringes me out whenever people say that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's cancel that word. Like, you're not a baby witch. Okay?
Based.
So then, what do you think?
Totally correct. I think,
I know.
yeah, I think the kind of term baby witch, it's just infantilizing word.
It is.
I think.
I think we used it earlier ourselves because it's so ingrained to call beginners.
Terrible. I know, yeah,
baby witches. Now I always do it in a way that's kind of meant to be a little bit cute, but again, I think what Charmcaster 333 is saying is like, it's not about being cute. And just by using it in that way, we are undermining new people into the craft, because at some point we were baby witches, but I don't remember anybody calling me a baby. I was called a novice. I absolutely was called a novice when I first getting, started. So yeah, so we both agree with Charmcaster 333 then.
Totally.
At least on this video. Yeah, cool.
Okay.
I must say I've got a few of their other videos, and I quite like most of what they talk about in their other videos as well. So yeah, I can recommend that channel if anybody is wanting to go and check them out. Following on from issues with baby witches, we have a video called How to Become a Witch.
Ooh.
First, you must do your research on which type of witch you are. Now, you don't have to be in a rush to choose one, but there are a couple. Traditional, a green witch, a hereditary witch, there's a lot to choose from, and I would just pick one that best fits my personality and keep changing from there until I find the right one. Number 2, an altar. An altar is a place where you do your spiritual sacred practices. It can be a shoebox. It can even be pushed under your bed, guys. And it can also be a table cleared off that you just put your crystals, your spell work, and do all of your spiritual work on. Now, a lot of people say not to put your altars in your bedrooms, but that's a whole nother argument. I do not think that is true. The last thing I would tell you is, starting off easy, just learn the witchy symbols that come with your witchcraft practices. So if it's a pagan practice, learn some of the symbols that are very popular and the spiritual meanings behind them and the energy they hold.
So then, what do you think?
That was a whole lot of nothing. There were some words, but they didn't really like say anything. And then whilst they package necklaces.
Yeah. So it's obviously somebody that has a witchy shop giving you tips while showing you packaging their products, which is fine. You know, don't get me wrong. I might be working on doing some stuff with the shop again at some point this year. So it's perfectly fine for people to package things. But the idea that you choose a path, especially when she said that you can be a green witch, blah, 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 hereditary witch. That's when my eyebrow was like, you can choose to be a hereditary witch. Don't kind of the people that came before you need to have chosen that path before you. Like,
Yeah.
don't at least your mum or your auntie or your grandma or somebody, granddad, great granddad, somebody somewhere has to have been a witch for you to be hereditarily connected to the witchcraft that they were. So yeah, that was my first, in like within the first 10 seconds, I was like, oh right, okay, I'm out. It's like Dragon's Den. I'm out.
Yeah, there was a lot of empty, vapid statements in that one, just to kind of, that weren't very interesting whilst you're kind of showing off you could just be talking about the things that you're making, really, but
yeah.
Okay.
But I do kind of, so there is a side of TikTok, which is the TikTok shop side, and they actually have a thing. I didn't even know this was a thing, but they have a policy where they will push videos that link to products through TikTok shop more than videos that don't. So obviously she's trying to get a business up and running, do a bit of a side hustle, whatever it is. She's wanting to get that coin, which is fine. It's like, I don't know what the point of that video was. I do quite like when she said, learn the symbols and the meanings from your tradition. But if you are choosing your tradition at the beginning of the video, then
yeah, it's just kind of the whole thing of like, oh, don't worry about the symbols, just copy the traditional symbols. And it's like, well, all right, what are they? Where do I look for them? It's just very sort of empty statements going on there.
So Neil, this is a slightly different side of witchy videos on TikTok. This is by Prophetess Miranda. Yeah, when you type in WitchTok on TikTok, you get a selection of witch type videos from a selection of beliefs.
Okay, so what is a witch? Yeah, because in Revelation, the Lord said a witch shouldn't live. A witch is one who uses magic, sorcery to accomplish the will of demons. Not that's much for me, but it's real. Because there are people that doesn't love your God. They don't love Jesus Christ. And they're not walking with it. And you have to have discernments. And you're probably like, Prophetess, I don't know nothing about this kind of stuff. Well, guess what? Well, you really behind the 8 ball, sweetie. Because that is the reason why God said he gave us power and authority. If he didn't know that this stuff would be here, what you need the power for then? If he cast out demons, why did he cast them out? Because there were demons, right? It's in the word.
Okay. There is actually, this makes me think of, there is an account that I follow on Instagram that is called Christian Nightmares. And it's very therapeutic if you're brought up Christian like I was. And it compiles TikToks that are from Christians. And a lot of them do cover ones like that, where it's kind of anti-witchcraft stuff. But I mean, they tend to be on such a absurd side that they're quite hilarious. So yeah, that's just kind of made me think of that. But it's quite weird how it's not very entertaining, you know, for like
it's not very entertaining, but also she doesn't actually say anything.
Yeah,
there's a lot of words and no content, because she starts off by saying, okay, so what is a witch?
Yeah, because in Revelation, the Lord said a witch shouldn't live.
Right, a witch shouldn't live.
A witch is one who uses magic, sorcery to accomplish the will of demons.
Okay, so she's just defined what she believes a witch is. Okay, somebody who uses magic and sorcery to accomplish the will of demons. Okay, so that is a witch, right?
Not that's much for me, but it's real, because there are people that doesn't love your God. They don't.
Right, so there's people that don't love your God. They don't love Jesus Christ. So this is a whole different section of people. This isn't the witches that are using magic in that to, what did she say, accomplish the will of demons, right? This isn't that. This is, now there are people that don't love your God and don't love Jesus Christ. So that is potentially then everybody who isn't following her particular faith or her version of the faith is she now saying they're all witches because they don't love God and Jesus? Okay.
Love Jesus Christ. And they're not walking with it. And you have to have discernment. And
so you have to have discernment. So you have to be able to discern who is walking with Jesus Christ and who isn't. Again, you're not discerning who the witches are. You're just discerning who goes to the same church and follows the same book as you and who doesn't. Okay.
Probably like, prophetess, I don't know nothing about this kind of stuff. Well, guess what? Well,
I don't know nothing about this kind of stuff. What? Because so far you're talking about very different groups of people. Okay. So I don't know anything about this stuff. You don't know anything about people that don't follow your religion, that might be Catholic instead of Protestant, or that might be, you know, Muslim or Jewish or Buddhist or Sikh. You don't know anything about that. Okay. But all these people are the same.
Well, you really behind the 8 ball, sweetie.
And then she describes being behind the 8 ball, which is seen by a lot of people as a magical tool. It's an intuitive tool. Where
very strange.
So it's like saying you're behind the cauldron, sweetie. What? Well, then you're now saying that people in her own flock are witches. And if her people in her own flock are behind the 8 ball, does that mean she's in front of it?
I don't know what she means by that. Yeah.
Because that is the reason why God said he gave us power and authority. If he didn't know that this stuff would be here, what you need the power for then?
But also, didn't her God make the fucking demons in the first place? Didn't her God create everything? So, okay, so she's now saying God cast out the demons and everything else.
If he cast out demons, why did he cast them out? Because there were demons. Right? It's in the word.
It's in the word.
It sounds like she's making really deeply intense, knowledgeable statements, but none of what she said actually makes any sense. And none of it has anything to do with witchcraft.
No. It never
does. Yeah, that's a whole other side of WitchTok that I've been so what do you think about that side of things?
It exists as a video that's out there. There's plenty of them. Yeah,
that's about all that can be said for it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of nothing, really. So I like the vibe of this.
Slightly slightly less serious, although probably serious to the people that made it, who was raised witch. I mean, that sounds positive, doesn't it? This person was raised a witch. So we're going to learn, what kind of witch are you? So, Neil, this is where you might finally get the answer to your question. What kind of witch am I? You're going to learn it in this video, okay? I promise, maybe. So yeah, do you know what type of witch you are?
No. I don't know. I mean, this is the wild thing. It's so specific, and it really kind of pigeonholes. How can you just be like, I am a sea witch. That's it. I do stuff with the sea, revolving around the sea. Like, I don't get it. I feel like it's more of a Tumblr aesthetic kind of idea of witchcraft.
The Tumblr aesthetic has now moved over to TikTok. And there is lots of this. So I kind of understand being a solitary. That makes sense. A witch that practices alone rather than in a coven. Green witch uses gardening and herbalism for earth magic. Well, Okay, so far I am a solitary. I am also a green witch because I use my herbs. Also, I am an elemental witch. I work with the elements. Also, I am a lunar witch. I work with the cycles of the moon. Good full moon and good dark moon workings are I'm all about those. But also, coming from a seaside town, water, particularly from where I grew up, is incredibly powerful to me, and it links every ocean is linked. Every drop of water is linked to every other drop of water. So I'm also a sea witch, but then I'm also an eclectic witch because I also incorporate many different traditions into my craft. So far I am all of them.
No, you got to only pick one. Got to only pick one.
This is what I mean. However, because my mum like saw spirits, and because my grandma used to be part of spiritual church, and my great grandma was a medium back in the days of like parlor readings or whatever they were called. Arguably, I'm also hereditary witch because that's come down the. But you know, this idea that you have to choose one or the other. It's like, well, what if you don't live near the sea? Does that mean you can't be a sea witch?
Well, isn't like sea witch, okay, a witch that practices water-based magic, isn't that part of being an elemental witch as well?
You would think so.
You would think
but
so.
Also it says here, and is not confined, although confined, not confined to the sea. So you can be a sea witch that works with the local stream that runs behind your house, or the beck, or a pond. I did not hear the term sea witch mentioned about people's practice until after The Little Mermaid, where Ursula is called a sea witch. And she's called a sea witch is because she lives in the fucking sea, not because she uses that as her magic. She just lives in the sea. So yeah. So what one of those are you then, Neil? What have you? Did you decide?
I suppose I'm a collector, can't I?
Yeah, that's one word for it. Yeah, definitely. There's so many videos like that. I could have picked like one of probably 100. A couple more. So this one, Neil, this is by, I can't read it because the words are on top of her thing, so I'll have to give her a shout out at the end. This one is signs you're a natural born witch. Okay, so it might be that last video, because it didn't include a natural born witch. Perhaps this is what type of witch you are. Okay, because she's going to tell us all about the signs to spot if you're a natural born witch. Okay. By the way, if you're watching this or listening to this, there is music playing, but I will have to mute the music for this part. Okay, so are you a natural born witch?
I don't know. I feel like I've just seen an ad for like an OnlyFans or something.
It feels like that. Also, I do think there is some of that same facial magic going on.
Yeah.
Here, maybe a little bit of a beauty filter. If not, she's stunning. Absolutely stunning. But yeah, so children and animals are drawn to you. Well, we know animals are because you've got you adore your pets. What about children?
Oh God, no.
Are they
Absolutely
drawn to you? Do you walk down the street like a Pied Piper and all the kids follow you down the street? Nope, me neither. You love nature and being immersed in it.
Yeah,
me too. Yeah, I would say that's true for me as well. Your intuition is insanely accurate, borderline psychic abilities.
Not really. Hit and miss.
Yeah, I would say more advanced for you than most people's, just from knowing you, I think, and like where you and I have had strange connections where we've both done things on the same day or things like that. I mean, that happens quite a bit with us. You hate large crowds. They bring a lot of anxiety and you feel drained after.
I mean, I hate large crowds, but not because it causes me anxiety. I just don't like crowds.
I hate large crowds because of the noise. I get overwhelmed, but that's an ADHD symptom. So therefore, that makes me a natural born ADHDer rather than a natural born witch. But okay. You've always been drawn to the supernatural and paranormal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've also been drawn to lots of, slasher films. Doesn't mean I'm a natural born slasher. Oh, I missed the trick there. I should have said natural born killers, shouldn't I? You're extremely sensitive to other people's energies, auras, and attitudes. Yeah, I think I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell if your other half is pissed off at you. You can tell if a checkout person is scanning your produce and they've had a bad day and they're chucking your eggs down the bottom of the bloody conveyor belt. They're having a bad attitude. So yeah, I think that's common sense. And then this last one, people confide in you frequently. You find that people you don't know well tell you personal things about them. Isn't that just being a good listener or a people person and just sitting down with people and going, you're right. Oh, you're not. Okay, well, you can talk to me if you want. That doesn't mean you're a witch. So yeah, sorry, Shayla Patch Kid, sorry, but I don't know whether that.
I think that's just been called
evidence.
Kind of sensitive, sympathetic person.
Just having empathy for other people on the planet. Yeah, absolutely. Just in case you weren't yet convinced about what type of witch you are, because we've now determined so far you might be an eclectic witch out of all the options, or possibly a natural born witch. We're not quite sure yet. So I thought we'd do another one of these just to make sure. This time, your particular type of witchcraft is all dependent on your zodiac sign. So that's going to go well. So there you go.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Of the 12 star signs.
Very random. Storm witch, lunar witch.
A lunar witch, a death witch. I've never heard of somebody being called a death witch, but it fits. It's one of the reasons why I grabbed this one. Storm witch.
I say in front of a shelf.
What was the word then? She's thunderstorms.
She's thunderstorms. She's thunderstorms. She's thunderstorms.
Okay. So the first time I saw this, when it came up with this, I was like, please don't say Gemini. Please don't fucking say Gemini.
I was thinking that.
but yeah. So apparently you're so far an eclectic death witch. So.
You know what? I'm happy with that. I mean, like I said, I'm full of a shell full of books of magic which kind of span all the different traditions. And then this side, I've got all my animal skulls. So there you go. I found out by the power of TikTok what I am at last.
There are other videos. I've got to say, there are some other videos which are quite informative for very short little 30-second 1-minute videos, and as I say, there's a couple of people that I do genuinely follow because they do occasionally impart nuggets of knowledge in a really concise manner, which I do appreciate. But so then, do you think that you will be opening up a TikTok account very soon, that Necro Neil, the eclectic death witch, will be do you think that you'll be making an appearance on that there tickety tockety anytime soon?
No.
I mean,
well, Yeah, I mean, you know me in social media. I have one for the, necro scene on Instagram, which I post once a month or something.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of social media in general, but you've opened my eyes to TikTok, though. You've kind of shown me like the kind of spectrum of witch stuff.
That's literally what I was trying to do.
To be honest, I thought it was going to be way worse. I thought it was going to be really.
Oh, it can be way worse. It can be way worse. But what I didn't want this podcast episode to be just us slagging off that corner of WitchTok. There's some of them like the WitchTok boy with the crystal, and there's some of them about the what type of witch are you, which I just don't understand. Well, I kind of understand where they're coming from because they're creating content and they want the views, but from a knowledge-based perspective, I don't really I don't connect with those type of videos.
Yeah.
Obviously, Prophetess, whatever she was called, don't really choose to watch her type of videos, but the type of videos where they poke fun at ideas like Baby Witch, like they were talking about in the video. I love videos like that, where it kind of takes a concept and then it says, really, do you actually let's sit down and process this?
Yeah, I think for me, kind of, I mean, I don't know if I've just got an old brain where some of the TikToks are very fast music, things on the screen. That's kind of, I mean, I knew TikTok was quite like that anyway, because all I really knew about TikTok before was doing dances to songs, or it'll be like, how do you know you're being haunted, things moving in the house, weird smells, cold breeze, that kind of thing. All I knew was that. And then there was that big thing in the news a few years ago about baby witches hexing the moon, which I thought was hilarious.
So yeah, that is what the world has come to, Neil. So yeah, I'll see you on the platform soon. Yeah.
No, I've got books to read and stuff, so I ain't got time for that.
No, I don't think anyone's got time for that. Ain't got time for that shit. Anyway, has today's podcast, has it changed your mind? Has it reconfirmed your belief in or not of TikTok? Has it changed your opinion in any way?
No.
You know what? I'm going to say it did actually change mine. I really don't want to be on there anymore. I'm really done with it. I have watched so many bad TikTok videos trying to compile them for you. My brain is turned to mush. If I have to watch one more kid edit video tell me about what type of witch I am,
your favourite takeaway will determine what type of witch you are.
No, please, for the love of many
come on. It's like, it is for the young.
As I say, there is also quite a lot of quite decent videos on there about witchcraft. It's just unfortunately, like anything else these days, whether it's a book, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a video, there's a lot of bad stuff you've got to go through before you find the good ones.
Well, I think if you would have shown more of the good side of TikTok that you mentioned, it probably wouldn't have been as entertaining to do.
Well, no, I mean, that was also a goal.
It was a lot more fun than I thought. I thought I was going to flip out a bit more, but
no, I think you did remarkably well. I kept watching you in the little box as we were playing them, watching your reaction, and so yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. Even though I probably need to start a whole new account because, as I say, the videos, the algorithm are getting me. I've ruined it. Yeah, I have ruined the algorithm. But anyway, you can help us not ruin the algorithm by hitting the like button on this video if you have enjoyed it. And obviously do all the YouTubey things, subscribe, hit the bell, all of that. You can join me on the TikTok, OG Beyond Authentic. I forgot that's what I called it. But yeah, you can see me doing how old are my videos, where apparently the internet says I'm 39, so that's good. I haven't done any dancing ones because these days the fibro, unless it's literally sitting there kind of doing this. But yeah, don't forget though, if you do want to go and check out what Neil does on the internet. You can go to OnlyFans. No, I'm joking. You can go to Etsy and check out Necro Neil on Etsy to see the zine that he makes, which is all about horror films. And there's been some really, like, I love Necro. I really do. You know that. But also you did say earlier you're on Instagram. So how do people find the Necronomicon Instagram account if people want to check out what your thoughts are or random pictures of the month or whatever it is that you are doing? How do they follow you over there on Instagram?
It's Necronomicon Fanzine on Instagram. I have it on private, but you can add me on there. It's on the Necronomicon Fanzine Instagram. It's just pictures of me making the fanzine, kind of behind the scenes kind of stuff. So, you know, I've got to say that it is fascinating. Some of the pictures where you're showing this is the fanzine coming together. I'm like, bloody hell. Even I didn't realize it was quite as all encompassing as that. It is, in a good way. But anyway, that's going to be it from us today. Have you got anything to add, Neil? Anything you want to plug? No.
Just go and check out the zine if you haven't already. I can thoroughly recommend it. And yeah, join me every Tuesday evening and Sunday evening, 7 p.m. UK time for some tarot reading. Neil is one of the moderators on that channel, so you'll see Neil popping in from time to time. But that is it. Until we see you again on another podcast, stay you, stay true, stay authentic, and keep practicing.
Keep experimenting.
And we will definitely see you next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.